Good afternoon and welcome. This is Channel 1 Lunchtime News. I am Rose Gokweno. Sign language interpreter is Steve Dunde. Teachers' unions are threatening to seek legal redress. Alleged non-remittance of dues by the Teachers Service Commission. Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers claim that the teachers' employer has delayed remittances amounting to millions of shillings.
He's a fresh frontier between the teachers' employer and teachers' unions who are accusing TSC of failing to remit dues amounting to millions of shillings.
For the union make us strong.
Indeed, Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers KUPPET says that efforts to have TSC honor its part of the obligation has fallen on deaf ears.
The last 2 months, you have intentionally delayed remittances to the union account despite having deducted.
Tukiongea hivi, kuna njaa, kuna shida kila mahali katika Jamhuri ya Kenya. Walimu walikata mishahara yao, tukapewa pesa zetu, lakini hatujalipwa na halmashauri ya kuajiri walimu TSC.
KUPPET says the obtaining situation has deprived the union of critical resources to efficiently run its affairs.
Na hii imefanya ya kwamba ofisi zetu katika Jamhuri ya Kenya wamekosa kulipa rent. Karibu wafunge maofisi.
KUPPET Acting Secretary General Moses Ndurema says TSC must now release the funds or face legal action.
To avoid unnecessary legal actions, let them release the money immediately.
Kilifi County Assembly has passed a motion approving construction of rehabilitation centers within Mtwapa, Kilifi and Malindi sub-counties to help thousands of youths addicted to drugs. According to the sponsor of the motion, nominated MCN Zula Mohammed, the center will benefit youths who have been suffering due to lack of rehabilitation facilities. The proposed rehabilitation center will benefit youth from Malindi, Kilifi and Mtwapa towns. Other than rehabilitation, the facilities will also serve as youth empowerment centers to provide skills to those reformed addicts. They will be then funded to start income generating projects.
Wazazi ndio chanzo kikubwa cha kuwatoa majumbani, ndio chanzo kikubwa cha kuwatenga na jamii. Sasa sisi kama bunge tumekaa tukafikiria hawa vijana na tumechukua maoni kutoka kwa hawa vijana ambao wameathirika. Wengi wanataka kurudi katika hali zao za zile zamani ambao walivyokuwa, lakini changamoto kubwa ni kuwa hakuna rehabilitation. Tujenge hizi centers ambazo zitawasaidia wale vijana, na si kwa tunajenga hizo centers kuchangia watoto watumie drugs, pale pia kutakuwa na mafunzo vijana kama wale ambao watakuwa wakipewa, ndio mtu akitoka pale basi ajue yeye pia atakuwa mwalimu wa ule mwenzake ambao pengine ameanza kutumia drugs kama KBC.
A section of leaders drawn from Nyeri County have now come out to defend former Transport Cabinet Secretary Michael Kamau, who recently lost a bid to completely terminate a corruption case of abuse of office filed against him. The leaders, led by former Nyeri Mayor Wanyaga Gataka, accused a section of contractors who were unable to use their political influence to secure government tenders during Kamau's watch as being behind his woes. Kamau is facing charges of flouting procurement procedures in awarding the tender for construction of Kamukuya, Kaptama, Kapsokoni, Sirisia Road. The leaders also faulted the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission for lack of goodwill in handling the matter.
Kamau refused, and we could see it coming. Refused to allow and to give in to some of the entrepreneurs who masquerade this country, buying and selling traders to Chinese companies and to whoever, and they wanted to finish him. And that's why they don't want to see Kamau in their vicinity.
Why do we keep quiet when our people are being persecuted? And if you look at the history, look at Murungaru, how he was persecuted. Even today his cases have not been finalized. Look at JM, why should we fear? He died just like that. We are talking people from Nyeri are being finished by some cartels. That's what we are saying.
The National Museum of Kenya has halted the planned demolition of a colonial court in Githunguri constituency that was used in the conviction of Mau Mau fighters in the region. Secretary General of the Kenya United for Memorial Peace, Heritage and Culture Organization, Reuben Gishungu Kongo, says the move will act to preserve the country's colonial history.
Many Kenyans lost their lives during the struggle for independence.
The defense and prosecuting counsels chatted outside. Among them is K.P. Hurst, the first practicing woman barrister in Kenya who is representing the accused.
5.5 decades on, the hallmarks of the 40-year struggle for self-rule still lives on.
Today I journeyed 30 miles north of the city to Githunguri, where trials are being held of Mau Mau suspects.
As derelict as it looks from this building in Githunguri constituency, several Mau Mau fighters were sent to the gallows and many others to detention camps across the central region.
Inside the courtroom, the evidence was being sifted. The trial was for the Lari massacre, in which about 100 loyal Kikuyu were brutally done to death in a single night.
Despite the land having been demarcated for the construction of a level 4 hospital to serve the area, the National Museums of Kenya called for the preservation of the structure following efforts from a Mau Mau lobby group seeking to preserve the structure as a monument.
We want this court, this old colonial court in Githunguri to be preserved for us and for future generations. We much appreciate the work that is taking place in this place because the hospital is being built for us. And we have a good consensus with the contractor and the site work that they will preserve the court.
Constructed in 1940, the Secretary General of the Kenya United for Memorial Peace, Heritage and Cultural Organization, Reuben Gishungu Kongo, says plans are underway to refurbish the building after the National Museums of Kenya gazetted the courts as a historical site. For Channel 1 Lunchtime News, I'm Vitalis Nyagol.
And Isiolo County Women Representative Rehema Jaldesa is calling on Kenyans to support those living correctional centers. Jaldesa says most of those who have completed their jail terms have reformed and can be of great contribution to national development.
It is a state of affairs that Isiolo County Woman Representative Rehema Jaldesa says has led to increased criminality, with reformed criminals choosing their former paths as a result of stigma. Jaldesa taking issue with the just system over what she said was delays in resolving court cases, a development that has seen suspects spend long times in remand awaiting their sentences.
Wengine wao wameketi kwa hapa rumande miezi 7, miezi 8 bila kesi yao kumalizwa haraka kule kotini. Hizo ndio changamoto ambayo wamesema.
Speaking during a visit at Isiolo GK prison, Jaldesa called for non-custodial sentences for petty offenders.
Kuna wamama ambayo wamefungwa kwa kesi kidogo kidogo, alafu kesi ambayo kama koti ingefanya kazi kwa ile utaratibu inahitajika, wangefungwa hata kama wako nje.
She said that her office will support those living correctional facilities through the affirmative action kitty, as well as establishment of rehabilitation center for those who have completed their jail terms.
Kushirikiana na department ya prison kupitia affirmative action fund, ya kuwa nitawapatia seed fund ambaye wale watatoka hapa watakuwa wakiomba kama group ndio kujisaidia ndio wasirudi hapa kwa jela.
Isiolo GK Prison Commander Hassan Waku supported the proposal by the legislature, even as he called for more support.
Sisi kama gereza, kama prison department, mtu akikuja prisons, ili kitu muhimu anahitaji kurekebishwa. Na kurekebishwa, viongozi, wananchi na general society is the part of this process.
Opicho Jail for Channel 1 Lunchtime News.
Institutions of higher learning have been challenged to offer quality training in the wake of claims that universities are producing half-baked graduates. While calling on universities to prioritize sciences and research-related fields, University Education and Research Principal Secretary Professor Jafeth Misheni said the government remains committed to reform the education sector to address the needs of the 21st century.
The role of universities in national development has been articulated over time. It has even now become more important in the emerging knowledge-based economies because we have to provide leadership in that. Universities therefore have to position themselves in the front of seeking practical solutions to the daunting challenges by paying greater attention to their roles in contributing to both national and global common goods. There's a need to consider education as a global common good, since it is only with such approach that we can cope with global challenges, which are very many, including technological transformation, shifting employment patterns, new information and communication technologies.
Kenya is among countries in Africa grappling with undernutrition, obesity and diet-related not-communicable diseases, which may threaten the country's goal of achieving universal health care. World Health Organization Regional Representative Aldo Vivo Nyango, who raised the red flag, says Nairobi and Central Kenya among the most affected regions, while Africa as a whole has over 59 million people affected, many of them children.
Antioxidants are foods, the nutrients that are going to make anything that is foreign, something that is not good for your body, to die. So maybe the cancers we are having could be because we are also not consuming enough of those antioxidants so that they can defend our bodies or kill the cells that are not healthy. But there is more to that. We've heard about pesticides. We've heard about even the water we drink that is contaminated, and linking even the obesity and overweight to how cancer behaves in the body. So we cannot say it's only nutrition, but what we know is nutrition can help you prevent these cancers. But again, the food you're eating must be safe for it to be beneficial to your body.
We are investing in the health of the people. We think about resilience in systems, but nutrition is resilience in the person. Nutrition is building resilience in the person. So if we could have your input in making that point so that the discussion on universal health coverage does not become a discussion about curing diseases, but rather conserving and preserving health through what we must necessarily live with, eat and drink every day, then we will have done something.
Hundreds of families in Bura have been displaced by floods after River Tana burst its banks. According to the Kenya Red Cross Society, many more are staring at a humanitarian crisis as heavy rains are expected to continue. In Baringo County, the rains continue to wreak havoc, with some families forced to relocate to higher ground.
The ongoing rains continue to cause devastation in some parts of the country. The situation in Tana River is distressing as hundreds of families have been forced out of their homes by the floods. The banks of Tana River could not withstand the force of the rains, bursting open, and the resultant inundation has led to catastrophe. This disaster, according to Red Cross, might be righteous in the next coming days as rains continue to pound.
1,200 households in Garissa County who are displaced. Some of the displaced persons are in Yuga Primary. We passed by this morning.
The situation is even dire in Baringo as persons who were previously displaced and living in camps are distressed by the ongoing rains.
In the history of this location, it has never been that way, that the river Perkera ambaye imefunja ukingo zake zikafikia mpaka mahali kama hapa.
If we have IDPs plus the administrators the representative of the president's office, that is the chiefs and their sub-chiefs, they are all in the camps here.
One person is said to have succumbed to pneumonia in El Dume camp in River Pekera, take as River Pekera broke its banks.
Baridi ni mingi hapa. Hata tulipoteza mtu hapa juzi kwa ajili ya baridi. Baridi yalikonga yeye na alikuwa ako na shida ya mgonjwa ya TB. Ndio sasa tuliamka asubuhi kama hiyo jamaa ameaga.
In Nanyuki, residents are worried following an invasion of wastewater and excrement driven by floods.
Hapa hata tuko ploti hapa iko karibu na njia mbaya sana, karibu na sewage, na tusaidiki kabisa. Tumejaribu kuteta.
Nyesha, hakuna watu wanalala pale. Inabidi watoto wakae kwa viti mpaka asubuhi. So kwa naomba tu kama kuna namna tu ya kusaidia hiyo maji iache kukaa pale iende, tungeshukuru. La sivyo basi itabidi tuachane na hapo, na ni mahali tumejitafutia mali ya kuishi.
Residents are concerned that a humanitarian crisis will soon arise if the sewerage system is not fixed.
Usiku mvua imenyesha haraka mchana, maji yatumbua sana. Aingia kwa manyumba, nakuta vitu zako zote zimesombwa. Hata siku nyingine tulikuwa tunachukua vitu zetu hapa kwa hii waya njeti hapa.
That's your news update in part. The rest of it is after this break.
Nilikuwa nina watch show, alafu kuna ile number special 10 zilipeanwa pale. Alafu baadaye nikatangaza kuwa mimi ndio mshindi. Naso labda mtaani niko na kioski yangu pale. Yenye nimeshinda nda boost ile kioski yangu iko kubwa kidogo, na wasii mcheze. $100 ni ya ukweli.
Nawe pia cheza ushinde leo. Top up kwa paybill number 295888 uanzie sasa.
And thank you so much for your company. The case against the parents of a baby whose body was laden with needles continues at the Thika Law Courts amid new revelations. Thika resident Magistrate Brenda Berto will rule on whether the two have a case to answer on the 9th of May.
The doctor who attended the 10-month-old baby was the first to take the witness stand to testify on the P3 form filed by the hospital, children's officer report, and a report from the County Ministry of Health Department. Kiprotich Ngetich, a doctor at the Thika Level 5 hospital, testifying on behalf of the said doctor who has since been transferred to a different department. The second witness, Corporal Esther Wangu, producing the needles removed from the baby's body as an exhibit to the court. A request by the accused to have the media barred from covering the proceedings flopped after the prosecution argued that the matter was a great public interest. In their defense, Isaac Gadura, who was the first prosecution suspect, saying he could not have brought the baby to the hospital if he was aware of the needles in her body. Jacinta Ndunge, who is the second accused in the case and the mother of the victim, throwing the blame to the medical personnel, who saying there was a probability that the doctors inserted the needles to fix her.
and embattled Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Chair Wafula Chebukati failed to appear before the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee Wednesday to give a brief on the happenings at the electoral body following the resignation of 3 commissioners. Chebukati instead sent an apology citing the ongoing ward elections in Nyeri and Kwale counties. The development forcing Justice and Legal Affairs Committee Chair William Cheptumo to reschedule the meeting to a later date. The House team, however, says it has set in motion mechanisms to restructure IEBC and allow the replacement of the 4 commissioners who have so far resigned. But speaking separately, National Assembly Minority Leader John Mbadi maintained that the commission should be overhauled.
This morning, we received a letter from IEBC signed by the chair requesting us to give them another date for them to appear before the committee. And they have given the reasons why they are unable to attend today. And one of the reasons is that there are 2 by-elections. Others have said they should go home. Others have said they remain behind. Those are comments. But it is not the official position of this committee that we say they should resign. But we are recognizing the fact that it is not functional because there are 3 and they do not have the necessary quorum.
What our position is that we want a complete overhaul of IEBC, complete reform of the IEBC, restructuring of IEBC, a total rethink of it. And more importantly, we have to restructure the secretariat of IEBC. These people need to be prosecuted. Action, they need to pay for what the crimes they are committing. Remember, Kenyans have been losing their lives out of some of these actions of these commissioners and the secretariat. They should not be left to go scot-free.
Police in Kitale have confiscated 83 crates of beer suspected to have been illegally smuggled into the country from Uganda. Labeled on the beer bottles show alcohol was manufactured by a company in Uganda but lack a stamp of approval from the Kenya Bureau of Standards.
We are calling upon those who are intending to do business in liquor to really follow the right procedures, because we can't allow things that have no certification as far as the health standards are concerned or quality is concerned. Alcohol has killed before and can kill again, so that's why we are not taking any chances.
Landowners in Taita Taveta County who are yet to collect their title deeds are being urged to do so to safeguard their property from potential land grabbers. Governor Granton Samboja says the county government is collaborating with the Ministry of Land to ensure fast processing of pending documents. He was speaking after issuing title deeds to over 700 residents in Sangenyi, Bundanyi.
Kwa hivyo ombi langu kwa wananchi wa Sangenyi na wa kaunti ya Taita Taveta, usikae nyumbani na unajua uko na ardhi na unahitaji title na unashindwa kuja kwa maofisi zetu tukusaidie upate title deed yako. Kama assistant chief alivyosema na mheshimiwa Jason, title ni kitu cha muhimu sana. Leo hii uko na stakabadhi, ukitumia akili vizuri, unaweza enda ukope pesa mahali, ufanye biashara vizuri, lakini ujue dawa ya kukopa ni kufanya nini? Ni kulipa.
To international borders, where CIA Director Mike Pompeo is reported to have traveled for a secret meeting with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. The meeting is said to have taken place in Pyongyang to prepare for talks between U.S. President Donald Trump and the North Korean president.
The secret meeting between Mike Pompeo and Kim Jong-un was said to have been unexpected and clandestine, and is said to mark a new beginning between the US and North Korea. Speaking from Florida, President Trump stated that the two countries had direct talks, saying he had given his blessings for talks between the South and North to discuss a peace treaty to formally end the 1950 to 1953 Korean War. The meeting comes shortly after Pompeo was nominated by President Trump to replace Rex Tillerson as the Secretary of State. The trip to Pyongyang is said to be the highest level of meeting with a Korean leader since the 2000, when then Secretary of State Madeleine Albright met with Kim Jong-il, father of the current leader. President Trump stunned the international community by accepting Pyongyang's invitation, which will be unprecedented for a sitting US leader. The summit has been planned for early June or sooner, with several sites under consideration.
Tributes for former U.S. First Lady Barbara Bush continue to pour in from across the U.S. political establishment following her death yesterday. Barbara succumbed to her illness at the age of 92 years after a series of hospitalization.
Barbara Bush was the matriarchal figure of a political dynasty that included two presidents, George H.W. Bush, who was her husband, and her son, George W. Bush. Her husband, at 93, is the longest living U.S. president. Their son, George, was elected in 2000 and served 2 terms as the nation's 43rd president. Bush was also the mother of Jeb Bush, who served as governor of Florida from 1999 to 2007 and then successfully ran for the White House in 2016. Bush, who was the first lady from 1989 to 1993, had been in failing health for some time and had allegedly declined further medical treatment. As First Lady, she went beyond the traditional role of a political spouse, founding the Barbara Bush Foundation for Family Literacy to help parents and children from disadvantaged communities to read and write. She was a fierce advocate of civil rights and went against many of her husband's Republican Party supporters with her more liberal view on abortion rights. She was born Barbara Pierce, the daughter of Marvin Pierce, publisher of McCall's magazine. She met her future husband in 1941 at a Christmas party in Connecticut, and the couple celebrated their 73rd wedding anniversary in January this year. They had 6 children, including a daughter, Robin, who died of leukemia aged 3 in 1953, as well as George and Jeb. The other Bush children are Neil, Marvin, and Dorothy. Bush was one of only 2 women whose husband and son became U.S. president, and the only one to have seen them both sworn in.